There is a moment, quiet, sharp, and almost invisible, when something inside you knows you can't explain it. He still smiles, speaks the same words, maybe even calls you love. But something has changed. A thread has loosened in the fabric of your connection, and though your mind fights it, your body has already begun to grieve. You're not imagining things. You're awakening. This isn't just about whether he's with another woman. This is about a far deeper truth, whether you are honoring the sacred wisdom of your own perception. Stay with this message until the end, running through the park, and you may find that what you thought was betrayal was actually revelation. Let's walk together into the quiet forest where truth lives and illusions fall like autumn leaves. There is a quiet unraveling that takes place in relationships, not with thunder, but like mist evaporating in morning light. The first sign is almost imperceptible, a subtle change in presence, a soft silence where once there was warmth. You sit beside him, perhaps even laugh at a shared joke. Something ancient within you stirs uneasily. His words are the same, his habits familiar, but the air between you no longer hums with life. What was once effortless is now strained like a stream diverted from its natural course. Presence is not something we can fake for long. It is a sacred offering we give in every moment we choose to truly be with another. When a man begins to shift away, whether emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, his energy departs before his body ever does. He may still reach for your hand, but it is the gesture of memory, not of desire. He may still say, "I love you," but it rolls off the tongue like water over stone, no longer carving, just passing. In the monastery, a teacher once told a story. A student asked his master, "How do I know when someone no longer walks beside me, even if I still see them?" The master replied, "When your shadow no longer feels theirs beside it under the same sun." Presence is not merely physical. It is the shared silence that needs no explanation, the mutual breathing in of life's unfolding moment. When that bond weakens, the body may still be there, but the soul has wandered off the path. A woman once shared this truth after weeks of confusion. Her partner had not left, not confessed, not fought. He still returned home, still asked about her day, but each night she lay beside him and felt utterly alone. It wasn't in what he did. It was in what he no longer brought, the way he no longer paused to listen with his full being, the way his laughter reached only his lips, never his eyes. Her intuition ached in the silence between their sentences. In nature, the forest teaches this principle. Walk through it in spring, pulses with presence. Life throbs in every leaf, root, and breeze. But in winter, though the trees still stand tall, silence is starkly different. The forest is present in form, but withdrawn in spirit. A stillness that no longer sings. This is how it begins between two souls. The season changes inside the heart before the words follow suit. As the philosopher Zhuangzi once wrote, "The sound of the wind through the pines is not the wind, and it is not the pines, it is the meeting of both that sings." So too with love, when the meeting ceases to happen, even if both remain, the music stops. And yet we cling to the body, to the routine, to the image of connection, hoping presence will return if we just try harder. But presence is not something we can chase, it is something that must be freely given. Let us pause here. Let the breath settle. Can you feel it? Moment in your memory where someone once looked at you, not just at you, but into you. That was presence. And if that gaze has faded, trust your knowing. You are not being paranoid, you are perceiving with the eyes of the soul. Now we turn toward the second whisper of truth, quieter still, but no less telling the shape of words. Words are bridges between minds, yet they are also the first stones cast when distance begins to grow. A man who is present will speak not only with clarity, but with depth. His words will hold weight not from effort, but from alignment. But when his heart begins to drift, his speech often follows. He becomes vague, evasive, too polished. The phrases once laced with sincerity now feel rehearsed like lines from an old play. You notice it not because he says anything terrible, but because what he says doesn't feel rooted. You sense the hollowness. Smile behind his words no longer reaches you. He tells you what you want to hear, but it lands like dry leaves on water. Floating, never sinking. A Zen tale tells of a monk who was once asked to explain the difference between truth and illusion. He picked up a cup of tea and said, "An honest man serves tea, and you feel the warmth before your hand even touches the cup. A dishonest one offers tea, but your hand returns colder than before." Words are like that. They either carry warmth or they do not, and you can feel it long before you understand it. In daily life, we've all heard these shifts. "I'll try to make time," instead of "I will." "You know how busy I've been." Replaces "I miss you." The vocabulary subtly distances. Even the pauses grow. He hesitates more before speaking. He buys time with phrases that offer nothing. He becomes a master of gentle deflection. This is not about blame. Often, even he does not fully realize he's drifting. The human heart rarely betrays in one swift moment. It retreats step by step, word by word. In nature, we see this when watching migrating birds. At first, they fly close in their flocks, each wing beat aligned. But when the seasons change, a subtle space opens between one bird and the next. The leader angles slightly north, one peels away, then another. The formation loosens. Nothing was said, yet the shift is absolute. The same happens in language. Words once precise and filled with color, now dim into gray. He says what is appropriate, not what is true. He begins to speak in statements that leave you with more questions than answers. He asks fewer questions of you, not because he doesn't care, but because his mind is no longer present enough to wonder. In moments like these, the wise do not press for answers. They listen to the silence between the words. The philosopher Lao Yan, whose writings predate even the Tang dynasty, once said, "Speech is the shadow of the mind. When the mind hides, the voice becomes fog. This fog can confuse even the clearest heart. But you, if you are still, can see through it." A woman once described it this way: "It's like dancing with someone who is thinking about another song. So the same, but he's no longer moving with me." She wasn't speaking of actual dancing. She was describing the disconnection of dialogue, the way their conversations had become transactions, not expressions. You may begin to doubt yourself. You may start trying to adjust, to make your words lighter, your moods smaller, your needs less visible. But understand, you are not too much. You are simply noticing that the person before you is offering you less, disguising it with borrowed language. So, let us return to presence. Let us sit in quiet reflection. Ask yourself, does his speech nourish or numb you? Do his words bring clarity or confusion? Is his voice a place where you feel safety or suspended? Your heart knows. Your body knows. You must only allow the mind to be quiet long enough to hear the answer echo up from within. And if the words no longer carry warmth, no longer align with the gaze, the hands, the spirit, then it is not your fault for feeling this. It is your gift. Your awareness is not a burden. It is your lantern in the dark. So walk slowly, feel deeply, watch gently. The unraveling of connection, when honored, is not the end of love. It is the beginning of truth. Let presence and words be your guideposts. Do not wait for the confession. Let the absence be enough. Let the fog of false words teach you the value of silence. For in that silence, you will meet someone far more important than him. You will meet yourself. When truth begins to stir beneath the surface of a relationship, rarely does so with loud alarms or dramatic declarations. Instead, it moves with the quiet grace of a stream, changing its course slowly and patiently. It is in this patient shift that we arrive at the third sign, subtle but undeniable. His actions no longer match his words. This dissonance, though small at first, creates a spiritual unease. A man may say he cares, that he's committed, that nothing has changed. But when his actions begin to drift from his promises, the soul begins to feel the gap. Words may try to comfort, but the heart listens to rhythm. And when the rhythm is broken, we feel the disturbance not in the ear, but in the bones. There is an old parable of a Shaolin novice who asked his master, "What is truth?" The master poured water from a jug into two bowls, one of stone, the other of paper. "Words," he said, pointing to the paper bowl, "can carry water for a moment, but only action," he continued, pointing to the stone bowl, "can hold the weight of truth. When a man's promises dissolve in the light of day, you must not wait for him to admit it. You must simply begin to see clearly. There is a sacred symmetry in love. When a man's heart is aligned with his intention, his gestures flow naturally from his words. He does not need to be reminded or pressed. His care is revealed in consistency, in the invisible rituals of attention. Remembering your stories, checking in without being asked, choosing presence even when tired. When love is honest, it is effortless in its discipline. But when that alignment breaks, something deeper unravels. He begins to say one thing but live another. He promises a weekend together but disappears into other plans. He says he wants connection but creates distance. He assures you he is yours, but the way he avoids your gaze, the way he flinches at commitment, the way he forgets small but sacred details, these speak louder than anything his mouth can offer. In nature, this can be seen in the migration of rivers. A river may speak of its destination, cutting through land, drawing maps in earth. But eventually, if the land resists or if the source weakens, it begins to split. Small tributaries appear. The flow is diverted. The original promise remains spoken in the current, but the movement no longer honors it. A woman once shared her quiet realization. Her partner had grown distant, yet still insisted everything was fine. He told her she was imagining things. She began to keep a silent record. Not of what he said, but what he did. She noticed how he stopped remembering the names of people important to her, how he avoided physical closeness, how he delayed simple plans, made space for others with ease. At first, she doubted herself, but over time, she saw the truth, not in confrontation, but in pattern. Sanzi, an ancient philosopher, once wrote F.A., "Crooked tree cannot support a straight beam. If intention is not pure, behavior will not align." So in love, this dissonance is felt most deeply by those who are emotionally attuned. You are not being unreasonable for noticing the imbalance. You are simply listening with the wisdom of your whole being. We must remember, truth is not always spoken aloud. Often it is revealed in the quiet inconsistency of daily life. The hand that no longer reaches, the message that is always delayed, the gesture that feels forced. These are not minor things. They are the body's refusal to echo a voice that has become untrue. So pause. Observe not only what is said, but what is lived. Let yourself feel the gap, for in feeling it, you are not losing him. You are finding yourself. And in this finding, you reclaim the most powerful mirror of all, one that reflects not just another's truth, but your own. As you sit with this recognition, the body begins to whisper truths too. This leads us into the fourth sign, the one even harder to deny. The body withdraws first. Long before a man confesses his distance, his body speaks it, not in dramatic ways, but in the small, almost invisible fractures of closeness. He turns a little further in bed. His hugs grow shorter. His kisses lose their depth. He holds your hand, but without the tenderness that once lingered after the touch. In the ancient monasteries, monks were trained not only in speech, but in stillness. One master, during a lesson on awareness, silently placed a lotus flower on the ground. The students waited for his words. Instead, he simply stepped backward. When love fades, he said, steps away long before it says goodbye. The body is honest. It does not know how to lie for long. When a heart retreats, the arms cannot fake embrace. The eyes cannot mimic true seeing. The breath cannot stay relaxed in closeness when the soul seeks distance. A woman once described this realization as waking up next to a stranger who looked exactly like the man she loved. He still touched her, but it felt mechanical, not intimate. He still lay beside her, but his breath no longer synced with hers. They no longer moved together, not in sleep, not in conversation, not in rhythm. She said his body was there, but it no longer leaned toward mine. And it was that leaning, that unconscious gravitation, that told her more than any sentence, something sacred had slipped away. In the forest, animals know instinctively when one of their own is no longer aligned. Bird will stop grooming its mate. A wolf will no longer share food. No declarations are made, just small definitive shifts in movement. The harmony is broken, not through conflict, but through absence. So it is in human love. The man who once wrapped his arms around you and held you as if anchoring his own soul may now touch you out of obligation, not desire. And though your mind may try to reason it away, he's tired. It's distracted. It's just a face. Your body knows better. The body, after all, remembers everything. The philosopher Dick Jen once said, "The body is not an obstacle to enlightenment. It is the very doorway." In relationships, the body becomes the doorway to truth. You must only dare to look through it. And yet, tragedy lies not in his withdrawal, but in how often we withdraw from ourselves in response. We question our worth. We wonder if we are still attractive. We adjust. We shrink. We perform, hoping that perhaps if we become smaller, easier, more perfect, his affection will return. But this is not the path of peace. The path of peace is the path of seeing, not reacting. Just seeing. Watch his body. Not with suspicion, but with serenity. Is it leaning in or away? Does his gaze meet yours with presence or merely out of habit? Does his breath deepen when near you, or does it remain shallow, guarded? There is no need to interrogate, no need to chase. The body speaks without words. And when you are quiet enough, when your own breath has slowed and your spirit is anchored, you will hear it clearly. So, let us walk slowly with open eyes and a calm heart. You do not need to demand truth from another. Let his actions tell you. Let his body show you. Truth, when seen through this lens, is not a weapon, but a light. It may hurt, it may shake you, but it will also guide you. Guide you back to yourself, to your own consistency, to your own alignment, to your own body's wisdom, which never left you, not even once. There comes a moment when you feel a quiet unrest within you, a tension between what you are being shown and what you are beginning to sense. He has not confessed. There are no clear signs, no final words spoken. And yet, something deep inside you begins to ache with certainty. This is not paranoia. This is not fear. This is the whisper of intuition. We live in a world that has taught us to doubt our inner voice, to value evidence over instinct, to silence the tremor of knowing in favor of explanations that soothe. But the soul is not concerned with logic. It speaks through sensation, through stillness, through that which cannot be measured. The body begins to tighten when he speaks. You find yourself more alert, more guarded, even in simple conversations. You feel the absence of care long before it is admitted. This is not madness. It is awareness. And the deeper your awareness grows, the more clearly you begin to see what your mind still tries to deny. There is a story from a quiet mountain temple. A young disciple asked the elder monk, "How do I know when something is wrong, even when all seems well?" The master handed him a bamboo bowl filled with water and said, "Walk across the courtyard without spilling a drop." The disciple walked carefully, eyes fixed on the bowl. When he returned, he said proudly, "I spilled none." The master looked into the bowl and replied, "But the water has rippled, and that alone tells me you were afraid." Intuition is like this, reading the ripple, not the spill. It perceives before the event. It feels the imbalance before it falls apart. It notices when the words are right, but the energy behind them is wrong. It listens to tone, not just to speech, to stillness, not just silence. A woman once said, "I began to feel like a stranger in my own home, not because he was unkind, but because something in him had turned away from me." And every time I asked what was wrong, he smiled as if I was imagining it. But I wasn't. My bones knew. My skin knew. Even my dreams changed. She had not seen text messages or found lipstick on a collar. What she found instead was far more subtle, her own awakening. She stopped looking outward and began listening inward. It was that shift that became her turning point. In nature, animals do not wait for confirmation. The deer does not wait to see the hunter. Senses the change in the wind, the shift in birdsong, and it flees. Not from fear, but from trust in instinct. There is no debate, no delay, only clarity. The philosopher Zhou once wrote, "That which speaks first is often false, which feels quietly is often true." The mind is quick to explain away, but the soul is patient and precise. It does not argue. It simply waits for you to be still enough to hear. And yet the tragedy is that we often silence this voice out of love. We do not want to believe he could be with another. We do not want to shatter the image we have built. So we swallow the unease. We minimize it. We label it insecurity. And in doing so, we betray the one voice that has never lied to us, our own. The way back is not through confrontation, but through remembering. Remember the moments when you felt truth before it arrived. Remember the times your intuition saved you. These are not coincidences, they are evidence of your deep-rooted wisdom. And in relationships, this wisdom must not be sacrificed. Love cannot be true if it costs you your knowing. So sit, breathe, place your hand on your chest. Listen not for answers, but for alignment. If you feel yourself bending, hiding, doubting your own clarity, it is time to come home to yourself. Not to accuse, not to leave, not even to decide, but simply to return to stillness where all things reveal themselves in time. This stillness is not passive. It is not inaction. It is the most powerful form of seeing. It is the place where you no longer chase confirmation, because you no longer require it. You trust that truth is not something to be found, it is something to be felt. This leads us to the sixth and final doorway, that stillness reveals all. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of awareness. In the modern world, we are taught to seek, to act, to pursue. The most profound truths emerge only in silence. It is in quiet moments away from noise and need that the fog lifts. There is a Shaolin tale of a warrior who grew restless, seeking to uncover whether his beloved had betrayed him. He followed her, questioned her, tested her love. But the master of the temple told him, "If you chase the wind, your heart will break. But if you sit beside the river and wait, current will deliver truth to your feet." He did not understand, but he obeyed, and as he sat day after day, he saw how she no longer came to him in her way of being. Her laughter faded from the mornings. Her footsteps no longer paused at his door. In silence, he saw what action had blinded him to. He let her go, not with anger, but with understanding. There is a great paradox in truth. the more you grasp, the more it slips away. But the more you allow space, the more it reveals itself to you. A woman once told me that she found her deepest clarity not through confrontation, but through solitude. She stopped checking his phone. She stopped asking him to reassure her. She began rising early, walking barefoot in the garden, sitting with her breath, and one morning she no longer wondered. She simply knew, not because she found proof, but because she found peace. The peace that comes when we stop trying to control what is already slipping away. In the natural world, the lake does not chase the mountain's reflection. It simply becomes still enough to receive it. Truth is the same, requires no effort, only presence. As the Taoist sage Guanzi once said, stillness is the ruler of movement. The sage does not seek clarity, it arrives when the water is clear. In your own life, ask, when was the last time you were still enough to listen? Not to others, but to the echo of your own knowing. Have you allowed the silence to speak? Or have you filled it with distraction, fear, and the noise of longing? Stillness invites you to step out of the story, to release the need for him to explain, confess, or stay. It asks only that you return to yourself, to your breath, your rhythm, your inner ground. In this place, even betrayal becomes a teacher. It shows you where you have abandoned yourself. It reveals what you truly value. It reminds you that you do not need certainty from others to live in truth. You need only alignment within. So let stillness become your sacred practice. Wake early, sit with your breath, lay down your questions, and listen. Listen not with the mind, but with the whole of your being. You will begin to see the patterns. You will begin to sense the direction. What once felt confusing will become simple, not easy, but clear. Clarity is never found in urgency. It waits for the one who is willing to be patient. And when you meet it, you will not need to be told. You will know. And in that knowing, you will begin again, not from heartbreak, but from wholeness. For in truth, this journey was never about him. It was about you, about how deeply you are willing to trust yourself, about how quietly you can listen, about how courageously you can let go, not of love, of illusion. And in letting go, you do not lose, you return to yourself, to your breath, to the silent, unwavering presence that has waited within you all along. You may be standing at a threshold between denial and clarity, between holding on and letting go. What you've heard today isn't a guide to accuse or rage. It's a mirror to reclaim your knowing. Whether or not he is with another woman is not the question. The real question is, are you with yourself? Are you loyal to your own peace? Are you honoring the truth your body already carries? If you still doubt, return to this message, not to find more proof, but to hear what your soul already whispered the first time. When the body goes silent, the soul speaks. Listen.